There is a sentence in Hunger Game: hope is the only thing that is more powerful than fear. If one day you discover the world we live in, fundamentally constructed from lies, what would you do? And when this balance is broken, when someone changes their routine, the seeds of hope will begin to conceive, a thirst for truth. In the end, it will condense into sharp spears for adults to overcome everything. The crowd in the bunker looked at the screen in surprise at the restaurant. I can't believe Sheriff Holston would break the law and leave the bunker. Among them is the woman named Juliet. What everyone in front of the screen doesn't know is, in their eyes, the barren world. Holston saw the blue sky and the fragrance of birds and flowers. That's why every time someone goes out, will go against one's original wishes. Crazy wiping of the lens to tell people the truth they see. As Holston walked towards the distance, suddenly feeling suffocated and falling to the ground, but he did things that his ancestors never dared to do. Took off one's own helmet, taking a look at the body of his wife crawling towards the tree under the gaze of everyone. Finally, he collapsed beside the other person without moving. Juliet went back to the bottom computer room and screamed crazily that he was a scammer. But I don't know that Holston Sheriff left a letter for Sam to make Juliet the next sheriff of the bunker. Sam! Look at the old black body on the screen. I don't know why he did this. It's like not understanding why he's going out. Time goes back a year ago. Juliet and George, who repairs computers, are an underground couple because inside the bunker, men and women in love are bound by the law. George said he discovered a major event. I'll tell her when I get home at night. But Juliet came home after work and didn't see each other. Just a strange toy and a piece of paper left behind. There are 2 sentences written on it. Do you remember the place you saw it last time? I have found what I have been looking for. I don't know why Juliet fell asleep when she was too sleepy, but the next morning I arrived at the restaurant. But I heard the sad news that George committed suicide and fell from a building. She knew that George would never commit suicide. He must have been murdered after discovering something. But Juliet didn't know the motive behind George's murder. Officer Mao said he knew about their relationship. He will share Juliet's ideas with his superiors. After all, suicide is also a felony in a bunker. Just like this, Holston followed Longhair to the bottom and found Juliet. They checked together where George's body was found, judging that George fell at least 30 meters high. The time of death is 3 a.m. There were no witnesses during this period. Juliet said she has known George for a long time. He wasn't depressed and didn't give his things to anyone else. Humorous and outgoing personality. Unlikely to commit suicide. Old Black asked Sam and Longhair to investigate. Is there any porter passing on the stairs that night? I suddenly asked about Juliet's watch and proactively take her to the morgue. See if George had any signs of fighting during his lifetime. But the body did not have any scars that did not match the fall. Holston even grabbed George's arm. Check if the other party has committed suicide. After the 2 of them arrived at the restaurant, Holston asked how long Juliet and George have been together. Why haven't you registered a romantic relationship? Juliet asked Holston to guarantee, I won't report myself to the Ministry of Justice. Then he took him to his home and hand over the toys left by George to the other party. But she only gave the top half of the note. Then Juliet took Holston to the bottom passage of the bunker and say what I'm going to show him may be more illegal than any historical relic. After reconfirming the agreement between Holston and himself, Juliet moved a convention warning sign, exposed the pitch black hole behind it. There's George and Ellie inside. The secret channel discovered in the hard drive. The walls inside the passage are covered in graffiti. After climbing down a long staircase, the 2 of them come to a huge space. After lighting up, Holston saw a huge machine at the bottom of the space. Juliet speculates that this is the wreckage of the machine that excavated the bunker. It has a history of at least 100 years now. When Juliet first saw it, only then did they realize that they knew very little about the bunkers. The 2 climbed down a flight of stairs again, came to the bottom of the space. This is George's secret base. That's also why Juliet and George have a secret relationship. If George is caught one day, will not involve one's own lover. George is obsessed with historical relics before Liberty Day and found several pieces. At this moment, Juliet discovered that the plastic wire on one of the winding machines is gone. She searched around and found the thread, and the other side of the line points below the cliff. Pull up the string and tie a backpack at the end. Inside the backpack is the old hard drive that George found. There is also a document for recovering data. Old Black discovered the handwriting on the back of the document. It turned out to be his wife Ellie's. Juliet guessed that Old Black had seen George before. George gave himself a watch that exposed her just now. Old Black went to the morgue to check his wrist. Actually, it's also confirming, does George have this watch in his hand? But Holston said he would tell the Justice Department that George died in an accident. This hard drive belongs to a red-level historical relic. It can even threaten the order of the entire bunker. He planned to destroy it when nothing happened. Juliet couldn't accept George's wrongful death, blurted out that if Holston had listened to his wife's words, maybe Ellie's still alive now, and asked Holston to help him. Faced with the tear attack of a beautiful woman, Holston still compromised. He will investigate the contents of the hard drive. Is it related to George's death? And ask Juliet to throw away the watch and remain silent. I will notify her when I have news. Time returns to the present until Holston went out and died outside. Juliet still hasn't got the answer he wants. At night, She arrived alone in the underground space, looking at the rope on the side, recalling George saying he was looking for a door, perhaps underwater, and asked Juliet to help him find a long piece of rope. Juliet fixed one end of the rope to the iron pole, then looked down at the rope and climbed down. She was so nervous on the way that she wanted to wipe off her sweat, accidentally dropping the headlight into the water. Only then did Juliet realize that, "I have reached the water surface at the bottom of the space." The second sentence of George's note said, he found what he had been looking for. Is the underwater thing the truth that caused George's death?